Что надо? Дракона. О, ты, блин. Мага убить, точно. Так. Давай сразу освещаем. Броню. Да бахни ты в него в чем.
Ready when you are. I'll see what I can do. The work of a moment.
А он покрывает скелетов металлом, потом воскрешает.
Ready when you are. Not a problem. I'll have it in no time. The work of a... Lava will be on seek. What? Rift Uligna. Not a problem.
Так, следующий.
Lava Rubion. Rith Uligna. Yeah? Lava. Ulu Sen. Lava Rubion. Rith Uligna. Lava Rubion Seek. Death Lava.
Блять, как же она сильно получает.
Lava Rubion Seek.
You're mine.
Lava Rubion Seek.
Not a problem.
Опять уже до прийти. Ну, стало что-то на легонькой.
Not a problem.
Типа можно было через потайной ход пройти, не драться со всеми этими.
Just say the word.
Это нам туда надо. Ага. Значит, остальные где-то тут.
Stand back, ghoul. I'll summon you when I... Effigies, I don't have time for this. I should hope so. Of course, the process is not... If you've never studied, except that he's a powerful... Why must you bother me? And that hopeless...
Lava Rubion Seek. Beyond Seek. Lava Rubion Seek. Beyond Seek.
Что мне надо для этого-то? Ага, для этого.
Brave thou Philothelie.
The work of a moment.
Ready when you are.
Так. Вот этот, наверное, остался третий. С волшебным оружием драться, да.
Distract me again and you're like to sounds like him.
Death to our enemies.
Sacred! Brave thou Philothelie.
I'll have it in no time.
Not a problem. Not a problem.
That's unusual.
Так, теперь к этому надо.
I'll see what I can do. The work of a moment. Yeah?
Угу. Так.
Not a problem.
Ready when you are.
Your master. Ah, a wizard must protect himself from the arcane.
Так. Ну почему вот автоматом мне искать, если я узнал уже все? Так. Оболочка.
Your master. Ah, a wizard must protect himself from the arcane. Return to the less. Your Ah, a wizard must protect himself from. Return. Ah, a wizard you have. But a wizard must also defend against his own deficiency. Many fall. Yet for the wizard who understands the nature of magic, power is nearly limitless. Return to your a wizard must you have, but a wizard many. Yet for the wizard who understands the yes, one test of your understanding remains. What is a return to the your a wizard you have, but a men. Yet for the wizard who return your a wizard you have, but a men. Yet for the wizard, yes, one test of you may.
Ready when you are.
Not a problem.
Ready when you are.
You have the soul of one who is always restless. If you knew what it was. But no matter. Spells are fueled by ambient because the media. But imagine what could be done with a more powerful source of it. The most demanding and visionary kind. The power to warp and wind time. Like a skein of wood you think a phylactery isn't. It is the reason I'm one of the my wagers on Archimia or let.
Ready when you are.
You have the soul. Big, but imagine.
Немного подустал от этой игры, нафиг. Стал. Пройду.
Ready when you are.
Сводим, припасы пополним.
Lava will be on sea. Lava. Lava. Ulu Sen. Ulu Sen.
Just say the word. You know, I fight better after a nap.
They both slumber.
Not a problem.
Lava. Lava will be on
Так.
You better run! Your mom. Not a problem. Ready when you are.
I must say, I'm impressed.
Well met, friend.
Тин-тин.
This place, as beautiful as it can be with the absence of children.
Intruder!
You have the thief, but big but a man. Arthur.
What?
Так. Ой, щит обнулся.
Ready when you are. Ready when you are. Not a problem.
Whew, good thing I sold most of my jewelry.
Just say the word. Just say the word.
I'll have it in no time. The work of a moment. I'll have it in no time.
Yeah?
I'll see what I can do. The work of a moment.
Так, теледракона надо убить.
Just say the word. Ready when you are.
I could still kill.
Yeah? Yeah? Yeah?
So, if our watcher hadn't come along, you would have let those drunks carve you a new nose.
I was softening them up.
When trouble boils over, it's boots or blade, Aloth.
I was sure you'd consider booze an acceptable option.
Last thing the Deerwood needs is another foreign colony.
Beyond sea.
Yeah? Not a problem.
Last thing the Deerwood needs is another foreign colony.
Here you are, how fortunate you are to learn. I will.
Lava will be on seat. Lava will be on seat. Rift will leak Lava will be on seat.
Так. Зачаровать. Превосходная.
They'll call you a dragon slayer now. A slayer of Audra dragons, no less. What a trophy it will make. What a tale, for that matter.
You are. Not a problem. Just say the word.
Так, ну теперь по главному квесту заканчивать.
This place, as beautiful as it can be with the absence of children.
Спускаемся в яму.
I ask again, Yovar, do you confess to apostasy?
I confess.
Do you confess to... Do you...
I confess to following a false prophet.
Indeed.
He wears the robes of a grand...
You have no followers here, heretic. Ano- You are...
I'm ready.
Ну что, в
There's a first
пропасть.
time for everything, and a last.
After what seems like an eternity, your rapid descent comes to an abrupt end. You remain still for a moment while your heart settles and your eyes adjust, breathing in stale, forgotten air. Before you, a narrow and eroded walkway becomes faintly visible in the dim light, cutting a winding path through a cavern so expansive it seems a world unto itself. In the distance, you can make out the cold gleam of living Adra veins that spike and fork in and out of view from the murky depths beneath. Ready when you are.
That went better than I expected.
That was
So you
bracing.
knew this Theos character ages ago. That right? And that was what? A few hundred years? What's that even like, remembering something from so long ago? That's what's... I mean, can you imagine? Recalling centuries in perfect torture. You ever wonder how that's changed him? Me too. Though I'm surprised you have any sympathy for him. He's made this life, and who knows how many others, difficult for you. I know the feeling. I'm not defending Theo, which makes me wonder. Other gods told you that he means... I suppose you're right.
Ready when you are.
Остановим.
This place is cursed.
Did anyone bring a ladder?
I wonder what this is.
Наставили ловушку.
Navaru, be on seat! Navaru, be on seat! Rif Uligna!
You might find this interesting. That's unusual.
Pray.
Navaru, be on seat!
Death to our enemies!
Sacre!
Death to our enemies!
Navaru, be on seat!
Brave Dalfila Fili. Brave.
Rif Uligna!
What do you suppose that bally thing is?
Brave.
Rif Uligna!
Sacre!
Navaru, be on seat!
Brave
Так, что здесь у нас?
Death to our enemies.
Ловушки.
I'll see what I can do. The work of a moment.
My old pupil. You are a welcome sight. You are so different now from who you were then. Yet much remains the same. I'd hoped after our last discussion you would find what you saw. I can only guess your presence here has something to do with Theos. The energy of this place changes when he is near. I don't know what he has done, but I do know of the souls. After all this time, he would still stand against the tide. I will tell you what I remember. I can see his influence, still hanging like a weight about your neck. It was just after the trial. You were agitated. That the gods aren't real.
I'd dreaded the idea from the moment the Delimgon suggested it.
Perhaps not to her. There's a theory puts my boldest to shame.
What I taught was that the gods whose faith we had been spreading were not gods at all, but something else entirely. They were conceived by Engwyth, a society of high minds and broad concerns. Generation after generation, they prodded and worked the stitching of the world. It shook them, this finding. If they could discover this on their own, how long until others would? How long before war and chaos reigned? I never thought of it as faith, but I think I became a missionary because the gods brought me hope that I wanted to bring to others. For a time, the Engwythan missionaries all knew it, but they never told the rest of us. You asked me this once before. Nothing I can say would be, and everyone faces this. What if it were forbidden knowledge rather than fault?
I have seen with my own eyes the deceptions of my goddess.
You speak of her deceptions, but what of your own? Was it her words that led you down your path? What if you had always been alone?
Well, as poorly as I've chosen my guides,
The freedom has always been. If all our common threads are spun.
All of us across Aora are trying to survive, to make sense of. We'll find our own truths.
What if the cycle of birth and death is nothing? What if no god had the authority to relieve our burdens?
Are the gods any less important because we create? If what we're saying is for the first time in decades, I feel whole.
Power it may have been.
isn't that what brought us here?
A question is a journey, and I ask these things not to trouble you, but to show why they must be confronted. No answer is simple, but somewhere between them all lies a truth so beautiful, not even a god could conceive it. Do we not owe ourselves a chance to find our part in it? If that is truly what you believe, I've been alone here with my thoughts for so long now. I need to know why you chose to remain with the Inquisition, even after you'd learned the truth. Do you remember? All these years thinking about it, I don't think I... Good. The things I taught, the things I believed, I needed to hear that. I needed to know it wasn't because... You were a blank slate to me once, A blank slate that I had taught the wrong things. I'd given you... You had heard both sides, seen everything. If not you, then who? I expected dissent. But I needed to know that true faith would even knowing what you've told me. And what of your understanding of our past? Are you at ease with the choice you made? At first I thought this might be the source of your soul's anguish. But now I see I was mistaken. You are not divided on this matter. You have put it... Yet if there is anything I can tell you that would be of use, ask and you shall know. You will not find a more resolute being on all of Eora. There is no in a matter of speaking. This prison was full once in the days of the Inquisition. But time weathers all things, even will. I'm the only tenant who remains. Yet, they aid you because they would bend you to their own purposes. But these souls, these forgiven... Last time someone asked me that, the gods need to be reminded that we... Theos will not wait for you. If you do not catch up to him now, you may never find him again. If I repent, all I have done has meant nothing. For my part in leading you to Theos in the very beginning, I suppose I have waited long enough.
Yeah? Ready when you are.
Так. И пойдем догонять его, чё?
Not a problem.
So, it's true. The gods are a sham that people have followed for thousands of years.
Каждый волен верить в то, что хочет. Хочешь — верь в этих богов, хочешь — не верь. Но нам надо размотать.
These ruins, like a great grave for a soul.
Где он? Вот сюда. Да нажми ты на него.
Full of surprises, aren't you?
Look at that. A city to put all others to shame. And long lost.
Many spirits stir here, edged with anger, violence.
We light our own path now, Watcher.
I don't suppose you could make a few bridges the same way, hmm?
Brave thou Pilar
Be on sea!
Благослови меня.
Death to our
Not a problem.
You understand the value of a mystery watcher. You unravel a thread watcher. One you have lost and discovered over generations. A nebula of souls, blind and brimming with potential. The answer to Woodika's question and the beginning of yours. What would you do with them? A song the world knows and tires of. The droning chorus repeated again and again. Better the improvised melody, the unfolding chant. That is a word for endings, and
Сейчас боги будут разные соблазнять нас, типа. Что-нибудь с душами сделать.
We've been lied to. Our whole lives, and many lives before that. And it's led us. You're right. I've also been thinking. There won't be much left of Theos by the time you're done with him. Let's face Theos.
Ready when you are.
А куда я пришел? А, просто сюда пришел. Давай, колдуй.
Death to our enemies! Lavaru, be on...
Sacre Thum! Craved Alphila Thilim.
Так, это выход куда-то. Тут что у нас? А, я не могу то.
Lavaru, be... Lavaru!
Ready to take the oath, to spread the word of the gods to the world. I am trusting you to remain. I wouldn't ask this were there any other choice.
This is a missionary. Oceanus.
You are ready to give a confession?
Я клятву выполнил.
I'm ready to hear one from you.
You are far from your post, Inquisitor. What brings you here? The Inquisition was based on a need to cut the They are monuments to Woodica's greatest servant. It has many uses, but its purpose is to bring that woman's. We are in a sanctum holy to Woodica. There are others like it in... What is a god? We are in a sacred place within earshot of the god. You will return home and you will rest. When you... There are many who...
Так, ну, зарежет меня.
How did you find it?
Я не разговаривать пришел. Запрыгал туда-сюда. Давайте все приходите.
All those lifetimes. That's the servant down, and the mistress...
Thousands of souls he has tortured.
He spent his lives. More than any of us will ever...
Can't help it.
To apply the teachings of Durance would more immediately satisfy...
Разобрались с ним. Что ж, пора закончить. А все поговорить хотят. Давай.
Theos may be gone, yet before you lies an opportunity to heal, to restore. All people will long remember.
We've come to the end of it.
Astounding. But even if you send the souls somewhere specific now, who knows what the next turn of the wheel will make of them? We can't really control what happens to them. Nor should we try. I had to see the monster Theos had become to realize... It's your decision, of course.
Ah, the end of the road greets us at last. Would that my own...
At your command, the ancient device became your instrument, spinning to life with deafening resonance and gathering up the swirling essence like thread on a great spindle. There, in the pale pulsing glow of the machine that set you on this path long ago, you summoned all your strength, focusing on your objective and blocking out all else. With a single concussive blast that rocked the chamber and sent you tumbling to the ground, you freed the souls from their stasis. Exhausted, your consciousness slipping away, your last sight was of the machine, dark and dormant. Then your eyes closed, and sleep welcomed you at long last. After coming to and searching for some time, you discovered the route Theos used to enter Sun in Shadow, and embarked on a long and arduous ascent back to the surface. You emerged in Ter Evron after days of tunneling through the rubble Theos had left behind, and when you stepped into the daylight, you were faced with a different Deerwood than the one you had left. At your direction, the souls diverted by Theos were guided back to the vessels originally meant for them. For the first time, parents of hollow-born children woke to the cries of their infants and looked into their eyes to see them staring back. People fell to their knees where they stood, thanking Helia or Mogren, or even Aethys for their forgiveness of whatever guilt they felt they bore. But for all the relief that had come to some parents, others only found new grief. For many thousands of Hollowborn had died during Widewind's legacy, many by their parents' own hands. For those children, there would be no homecoming. Yet the last Hollow birth was in the past now, and those parents willing to risk trying for a new child were frequently rewarded, often with twins. Many felt they saw Helia's hand in it, and the year would be remembered as the year of Helia's splendor. Lord Radric's zeal had brought him back to life once, but it would not do so again. Radric's destruction at your hands spelled the end of his suffocating rule over Gilded Vale and the surrounding area. In his absence, the village prospered, becoming a popular destination for new settlers anxious to leave Defiance Bay after the riots. Without a nearby ruler, it also grew more wild, with many settlers moving on as soon as they'd arrived, turned off by lawlessness that was excessive even by Deerwooden standards. Nevertheless, despite the challenges of living there, Gilded Vale had survived, and would continue to survive for the foreseeable future. Following the assassinations of Duke Avar Wolfgren and Lady Webb, Defiance Bay was thrown into political upheaval. In the ensuing weeks, the streets had become the domain of looters and blackguards. Few dared to step outside their own doors alone or unarmed. But order was soon re-established by the Knights of the Crucible, who, despite their depleted numbers, had gained favor in the public eye for their role in the unraveling of the conspiracy surrounding Widewind's legacy, and were quickly reinforced by returning forces from Fleetbreaker Castle. For the Knights, their resurgence marked a return to the tradition as well. Having seen firsthand the dangers presented by dabblers in animancy, the Order quickly abolished the practice internally, preferring the familiarity of their hammers and forges to the uncertainties of Essence and Adra. Their identity rediscovered, the Knights suppressed their political aspirations and began once again to train their recruits in the art of blacksmithing, recapturing the post-revolutionary ideals of Deerwood and regaining the respect of its citizens as a result. Though the machine atop Ter Noaneth had been disabled, it had not seen its last use. Heritage Hill was rebuilt, and no sooner had the first families moved in to resettle the district than members of the Leaden Key, acting under standing orders from their Grand Master, climbed the tower and reactivated the machine. The initiates slew a handful of the new settlers under cover of night and watched as history repeated itself, the victims reanimating and devouring the survivors. After this second incident, the district would remain abandoned. The Duke's assassination at the apparent hands of an animancer had caused catastrophic rioting in the streets of Defiance Bay. But those who had escaped the melee in the palace hearings remembered the testimonies of the strange guest who had shown up that day and absolved animancy, implicating the Leaden Key instead. The rumor spread quickly, and soon the popular belief was that the assassin had been a Leaden Key spy. When the legacy had lifted, people came to see it not as a sign that the riots had been according to the gods' wishes, as Theos had hoped, but as a confirmation that animancy had never been the source of the problem in the first place. Deerwoodans instead convinced themselves that the riots had somehow purged Defiance Bay of Leaden Key spies, and that the end of Whitewind's legacy was their well-deserved reward. The rage against animancers was quickly forgotten, and those who had survived were permitted to return to Brackenbury Sanitarium and rebuild it so they might resume their studies. The town of Deerford had seen the last of the cult of Scan. Dark rumors about the town's many curses quickly faded, and travelers soon returned. Abidon's renewal brought new vigor and purpose to a god long known for quiet, steady labor. Handicraft saw a revival in the Deerwood, and no smith wanted for an apprentice. Additionally, Abidon's restored interest in preservation led to redoubled efforts to survey Ingwithan ruins. Animancers and craftsmen alike found much to study, but tensions with Air Glanfath rose. As for Stalwart, the Battle of Caron's Scar only strengthened their resolve to unlock the mysteries of Durgan steel and build new marvels with the White Forge. However, Stalwart's ambitions brought them into further conflict with the Raid Serans, as more and more impoverished communities gathered at the border and vowed to finish the work of the Iron Flail. It would be many generations before the region saw peace. The Flames That Whisper clan found a cautious peace with Stalwart, particularly once the villagers heard of the aid the ogres had offered against the Eyeless. The clan moved back into the Russetwood, and as Stalwart grew in prestige, the villagers formed a tighter alliance with their ogre neighbors. Within a generation, ogre traders visited Stalwart, and village hunters were welcome in the Russetwood. Harmka's death had brought the Devil of Carrick little satisfaction. In time, her taste for vengeance soured. What replaced it was a hunger to feel something, anything, new. Summer had thinned the snowpack twice over when she felt the joint at her elbow first begin to stiffen. She turned her back on the hopes of animancy and civilization and walked east. She pushed through the mountains, past Raid Ceres, and into the broad plains of Ishamiddle. She had forgotten what it was like to simply journey, no goal or destination in mind. Though she felt nothing more than the steady thump of her feet on the road, the endless horizons and grassy meadows were new to her. She measured her time in the gradual rusting of her body and was satisfied. Her movements slowed, but so did the world around her. Waist-high grasses undulated and tacked in the wind, as gradual as the tides. Sparrows and blackjays made steady pilgrimages across the sky, each flap of their wings a solemn salute. She could hardly move when she found something she had never seen before, the ocean. With the last of her strength, she pulled herself beneath the water, content at last to feel the movement of currents and the constant caress of the waves. Free from the burden of her memory, Maneha soon left the gift-bearers and resumed adventuring. Now that she had a taste for the world, she wanted to experience it anew. Maneha rediscovered her zest for battle, extravagance, and romance. She kept her gaze on the horizon, looking from one journey to another more distant, from the lover in her arms to another more fervent. Hers was a life of excitement, violence, and passion. She moved too quickly for regret to catch up with her, and she hoped only that she might outpace it in the next life as well. The fortress of Cadnua emerged as a bastion of security in the midst of an untamed land, becoming the envy of every thane and earl in Deerwood. Legend grew over time of its impregnability, and stories of formidable invaders easily scattered by the keep's defenses became popular around the hearths of Deerwooden inns. Likewise, it also became a beacon to travelers, merchants, and visiting dignitaries alike. Reputed as the finest fortress in all Deerwood, people would journey from near and distant lands alike to experience its fabled hospitality and grandeur. After the death of the Master below, a strange quiet fell over the endless paths of Ad-Nua. The attacks on the fortress above ceased, Ad-Nua's silent titan the closest remaining thing to a master in its musty, forgotten passages. Pallegina had gone against the Duke Spell's orders by inventing a new trade arrangement with the Anamenfath to accommodate the recovering Deerwooden market. With the Deerwood's people still weakened by Weidman's legacy, the Valian republics easily pushed their would-be competitors out of the market. For her outrageous insubordination and audacity, Pallegina was banished from the republics. She traveled north in the Eastern Reach, avoiding Valian ports and entering the ranks of the kind wayfarers. Despite her bravery and dedication to those in her care, her strange appearance made her feel like an outsider wherever she went. Haravius took his leave of the party and, after his first bath in years, returned to his nomadic lifestyle. With his homesickness expunged, he found renewed joy and tranquility in his wandering survey of the wilderness. For the first time in his life, he ventured beyond sight of the mountains of Glonfath. During his travels, he penned numerous journals and sketches detailing his travels through frozen tundra, searing desert, and tropical forests. Wherever he went, Haravius left behind stories of the Autumn Druid, a temperamental, one-eyed wise man of the forest, known to bring food to lost travelers and unusual advice to anyone willing to ask him a question. Adair chose not to return home to Gilded Vale. Still most comfortable far from cities, he settled in Deerford, which, like many towns in the Deerwood, was beginning the slow process of rebuilding. Believing now that it was the obligation of Kith to be the leaders their gods had not, Adair was soon named mayor of the town, and under his guidance, Deerford soon began to prosper. He expelled the last of the Scanites from the area and drew new settlers with the offer of land, a trick he had learned from someone he otherwise preferred to forget. With each passing day, Deerford would come to more closely resemble the Gilded Vale of Adair's childhood, the one worthy of its name. When the dust settled in sun and shadow, Aloth looked upon the remains of Theos Ixarchanon, his former master. He saw where the Grand Master had gone wrong and what would be required to undo the harm Theos had wrought. With a flick of his wrist, he burned Theos's robe, headdress, and every other symbol of the man's power. Never again, he vowed, should Kith live in fear and blind obedience to an authority they did not understand. Armed with the knowledge and courage he had gained on his journeys with the Watcher, he set out on the long and lonely task of dismantling the Leaden Key. With both their aims fulfilled, Kanarua bid the Watcher farewell and sailed back to his beloved Rawatai. There, he reported on his findings to the Lore College. Kana spoke of the Engwithan people, describing both their vile experiments and their inspiring accomplishments. He spoke too of the destruction of the tablet by the Leaden Key, and the group's efforts to erase the Engwithan legacy from the world. Both inspiration and cautionary tales, he said, could be found in the world beyond Rawatai's borders. Kana urged his people to continue to pursue knowledge abroad so that the lessons found there might benefit Tekoa. Kana's inability to prove his theory of Engwithan influence diminished his academic standing, but his passion drew much interest from those less concerned with degrees. Kana swiftly became an influential figure in the move toward a more collaborative approach to expansion on the northern continent. In his personal life, he came to enjoy the reputation of an affable eccentric, willing to share grand and impossible secrets, along with a drink and a song. With Theos defeated and the souls released from sun and shadow, healthy children were born once again in the Deerwood. Pleasant and peaceful memories rose to fill the cracks in the grieving mother's mind. She returned to the birthing bell, unaware that the village nearby had become an empty desolation in her absence. Thus she began her tireless vigil atop the Adra, awaiting mothers and children who never came. Durance used Magrin's strength only until Theos had been cast from the world, and then swore off her influence entirely. Regret came to weigh heavily on his mind, and a man who had never previously lacked for words or opinions came to embrace silence and contemplation. He continued to wander, penniless and destitute, searching now not for the reason for his goddess's silence, but for a mechanism for revenge. The charred robes he continued to wear as a reminder that he had been burned by his goddess, and not just by the flames of the Godhammer. In her 4-month journey back to Nositoc, Sagani found that the landscape she traveled had become strangely colorless, the food bland and unsatisfying. She watched the Deerwood, Air Glonfoth, the Valian Republics, and the lands beyond slide by with a dull sense of dread. She returned home to great celebration, yet the words of joy and congratulations rang hollow to her. Old beloved songs sounded toneless. The rituals of changing seasons became drudgery, and Sagani experienced her life back in Masuk as if in someone else's skin. So she fought to feel the worth of her actions, or at least to let her village feel them. She led ever longer and more ambitious hunts, mentoring the younger rangers who followed her. On one such expedition, her party was beset by a blizzard, and she pressed on where her companions turned back. She did not return to Masuk. For you, the death of Theos brought an end to your waking visions, and a silence to the whispers of the past. In their absence, you were able to sleep. The questions of a distant lifetime ceased to trouble your soul. All that remained was what to make of the answer. But at the moment, there was little to be done, and the matter would have to wait. A long journey loomed ahead.
Конец.